Hi, all of you beautiful beings. Aloha from Mount Shasta, from about maybe 8,000 feet up the mountain. As you can see, the summit is right behind me. And I was just guided to drop in and create a little video for YouTube as it came into my awareness that I really started the Rainbow Jones YouTube page right around my first time to Mount Shasta. And for those of you who have been following this page for a while since its inception, then you may have seen this video. I look much different in this video, as a lot of things have transformed in the last 2.5 years since the first time that I came here. Really, yeah, two years. So when I first started this YouTube page, right, I had recently donated everything I owned in the house that I was living in Los Angeles, and started living out of my car and traveling around the United States to various places, just being of service to humanity, to the planet, and to God, to source consciousness. And I had no idea what I was signing up for when the voice of the higher self said, it's time to donate everything and start living out of your car and start having a different experience and paving the way. Really was the message. You need to pave the way. You get to pave the way. So I donated everything in Los Angeles and started driving north. And when I got to Mount Shasta, it was snow. You couldn't come up this high. The roads were closed, well far below this. That said, I was guided into a crystal shop before coming up into the mountain, and I was guided to buy a ring. And I was told that I would be having a marriage ceremony on Mount Shasta that day. And I had no idea what that was about. No idea. I just trusted, right? I was devoted to trusting my highest knowing, my highest self, and trusting the light of the soul's guidance to be the way shower for this experience, and choosing in every single second of every single moment to consciously bring presence into the voice of the ego and into the voice of the soul and of the higher self, which is really an emanation, a light of this being in the future, to guide the way instead of the ego and the society and these programs to continue to guide the way, which was the case for a lot of this experience up until that point. So I purchased this ring and I went up onto the mountain, and I'll post the link. I probably should post a link to this video that I made right after coming down from this ceremony to this, so that you can go back and watch it and just kind of see, right? Even see the energy shift and the change of, I feel like I even look different in this new space. So you can see all of that, really the transformation, and I'm sharing that just for inspiration, and because I've made a commitment in this lifetime to document the experiences that are being had, to lead the way. So I came up onto the mountain, and I had a marriage, a bonding, a union ceremony with source consciousness, with God, with the higher self, and I made a commitment through various vows to bond, wed, marry the highest self, the soul, in this lifetime, and to eradicate all of the programs that were subsequently in place since birth that would have implemented something else, right? This since I've chosen a woman's body in this lifetime, a lot of programs around being a mother, around being married, around, this knight in shining armor, all of these programs that were so deeply embedded in my field and are still very deeply ingrained in the feminine collective consciousness of this planet, especially in those beings that have a womb, have a woman's body. And really eradicate those beliefs and recognize that I was whole, and to marry that part of myself that was whole, and to stop seeking for something outside of myself in another person, in an experience, in a medicine, in anything, in food, in all of it, to essentially bring me wholeness, right? So I was marrying this knowing that I am whole. And to choose from that moment forward to no longer play into the roles of separation through perpetuating these experiences of partnership, of, this kind of thought process that is so deeply embedded in the feminine around being with the masculine, and this is male-female bodies, right? And having these instantaneous thoughts of, oh, is this my partner? Is this who I'm supposed to spend the rest of my life with? Is this my prince? Is this my knight in shining armor? And really just eradicate all those. So I had this ceremony in a snowstorm, and the ring was the symbol. And as you see, I have this is actually not the same ring. This is a different ring. This is a Herkimer diamond that I was guided to bring in last year, to mark the 1-year anniversary of this ceremony. And I'm actually at the 2-year anniversary of this ceremony now. This ceremony happened in October of 2015. So, wow, I actually, it happened right now. And I did not remember that until this moment. So no wonder I was guided to come up here and to film this video today. I just want to sit with that for a moment, because that feels really juicy in this heart. So 2 years into this commitment, and I finally feel like I've actually honored the intentions and the declarations that were set in this ceremony. And something about ceremony and intention and declaration is, when you go through ceremony, you seal something, you bond with something, you radically implement something into your grid, into your energetic field, and anything that it's not in alignment with that is going to come up to the surface to be transmuted, so that you can really be the embodiment of whatever that ceremony was, of whatever that intention or declaration that was made. In a marriage ceremony, it's through the vows, these intentional vows that are set. So all of this, right, the last 2 years have really been showing me all of these programs that were still implemented into my subconscious, that were actually not in integrity with the vows that I was setting, that were not in alignment. Essentially, the vows that I was setting, I did not have the programs for yet. And my higher self was saying, hey, you're to download these programs and to be the embodiment of these programs for the collective. So you get to intentionally, devotionally, ceremoniously imbue these programs into your field, into your awareness through this ceremony that was totally soul guided. And then have this 2-year process of having all the programs that were not in alignment come up to the surface to be looked at and deeply understood. Where did this program come from? When is this program implemented into the collective consciousness, into the human species? And how do I now pave new neural pathways so that that program is not the automatic program that's getting played anymore in this experience for this body, so that I can finally fully anchor in the vibrational frequency of that ceremony, of this divine androgyny, of this unity with God, of this embodiment of source consciousness. And what that means is that there is no more masculine and feminine programs playing out in the field. And yes, there are still some subtleties that are playing out, and I get to work through these with other beings and recognize them and bring them into full consciousness. And the last 3 weeks, as I was brought back to California to go on this road trip and do these ceremonies here in Shasta, to really unravel the next core, right? So right after the ceremony in Shasta in 2015, I instantly broke some of those vows because I had programs set in place with a certain male being on this planet that was contracted to be my divine partner, and beautifully was showing up to not be my divine partner in form, so that I could break and cut through that program that said there's this knight in shining armor, there is this partner for you, there is this divine being that is going to complement you and, you know, bring out all of your divinity in this lifetime. That program was shattered through this being not being willing for that in this lifetime, right? So working through that, and right after the marriage ceremony here, I was guided to go and meet with this being for the first time in years and to start unraveling that program. Because that's not the truth. That's not the truth, though there was a contract that this being had set with me so that I could unravel this information in this life. So I actually lost the ring after going and seeing this person and having all this stuff come up, because essentially Spirit was saying, okay, so you set the ceremony and now you're not honoring those vows. You get to see that. You get to see it, because if you don't see it, you're not going to be able to unravel these programs and now embody that frequency 2 years later. So the ring was lost. And I, being like, knew right away why it was lost, and started to look at those programs that were in place in a woman's body, and how this was showing up so deeply in my field, and how it was totally unconscious. It was just playing on like a Midas loop. It was just going in repeat. So the next year was really spent doing deep inner work, and I called in some divine beings to really support that work, who were also at a space in their journey where they were too unraveling this story, right, of being a man or being a woman and being in this partnership, what relationship means, what this separation of sex was about in the beginning when the genders were separated, because the original human template was androgynous, was an androgynous being. And we're returning to that now. That said, there are very few of us who have those codes implemented in their fields. And the last 2 years, I've been anchoring that coding. So last year I was with this divine masculine being in form in a male's body, and we were unraveling this relationship, seeing how these attachments and these addictions to partnership were showing up, starting to break them down. And he really challenged all of my programs around being a woman, around partnership, around all of this, and started to really held space for it all to come up in a beautiful way. And super grateful for this being and all that we signed up for together. Our souls sit on a council now, and they probably always have, that said, they're like, whew, this divine council that's allowing us to bring these codes through for the divine androgyny, for the end of the genderification of consciousness that has kept us separate. And in separation, you know, separation is not something to be feared. It's not bad. It's not wrong. It was a program that was put into place, because what better teacher to show and to guide you into knowing that you are whole within than separation, right? So through separation, we get to access the codons. We get to access the teachings that we are whole, which I'll go into likely in another video at some point, like the depth of that teaching, because I'm really feeling like that teaching is coming through so strongly right now. And I'm just looking down because the spider friend is coming to say hello, and I want to ensure I don't squish him. So Anyways, after having these ceremonies and this connection with this being, I was guided to Sedona, and I was guided at this crystal shop to purchase this ring, and Spirit said it's time, right? It's time to recommit these vows. And I came back to Shasta last year and reaffirmed the vows. And then, reaffirming the vows, the next layer came through. Being a woman in a woman's body, right, that is identified as a woman by a lot of beings on the planet that do not have an awareness of the divine androgyny, saw this ring, saw me wearing it, and were very threatened. The collective, right? So first I processed the first year all of my personal karma, my personal patterns and stories and illusions and delusions and addictions and attachments to divine partnership, to the masculine, to these stories of this knight in shining armor. That all got flushed through the first year. So in the second year, all of last year of 2016, was really about the collective, right? So how my family was energetically showing up in response, and they didn't say anything. It was an energetic frequency. How certain men showed up in seeing this, right? This is an epic Herkimer diamond that is intimidating. It was very intimidating to a lot of these men who would come into my field and would be attracted to my energy and would see this and think that I was engaged to another man. Right? They had these illusions. So all of the programs of what this represents started to get triggered. And I had to go through the next layer, and I took this ring off, put it on my other finger, my right hand, because I was like, whoa, okay, I've got to process all this before I can really embody this in a way that is grounded. The codon is grounded. And it wasn't until 3 weeks ago that I was guided to take it off my right hand and put it back on my left. And I was guided to take it off my left hand when I was in Hawaii, when I was on Big Island, and I was going through a powerful transformation, and put it on my right hand, worked through all the collective stuff, and then I came back, met up again with my dear soul family and the being that I said our souls are on a council together, and we have contracted to really eradicate and transmute these storylines, these patterns of the collective. I was guided to go stay 4 days with him, and we really started to go into processing the gentrification of consciousness, of processing you're a man, I'm a woman, like what does that even mean? That's not even reality, right? Processing all of the collective karmas and personal karmas around the gentrification of consciousness to tap into the divine androgyny. And when I left his house, I was guided to that it was time to shift the ring back to the left hand. And then here I am in Mount Shasta again on the 2-year anniversary of this experience. And this is actually the third time though. So 2-year anniversary, 2015 to 2016, 2016 to 2000, actually no, 3 years. 3-year anniversary. The Holy Trinity. Beautiful. Another moment that I just want to soak in the juiciness of that awareness that's coming through as I'm sharing this story. So I'm back here on Mount Shasta in October, the same date. And I'm recommitting those vows. And I actually just did a ceremony with the template that reconnected the circuitry of divine androgyny, of fully brought back online the circuitry of my being that allows for me to be the embodiment of the divine androgyny. And as most of you see, my hair super short. I was guided 2 months ago to shave my head. You know, I've had experiences now where I've gotten comfortable with letting my hair on my chin grow out, because it doesn't matter. It doesn't make me less of a woman. It doesn't make me more of a man, because I'm neither. I am the merging and the divinity of both. I am the marriage and the union of both. I am the divine androgyny. And I'm carrying the codes of that activation within. And it's so fascinating now, because in the work that I'm doing with the souls that I have contracted to support in this lifetime through what human language would call clients, in the play that I offer, right? For me, it's not work, it's play. Love's mission is play. It's a play shop. It's a place where we get to play, because it's not meant to be work, it's meant to be play. We get to play here. So in the play shops that I offer, in the one-on-one space, right, the last few sessions I've had with these beings, we've been able to go boom right into the collective programming around why every time a woman is with a man, she starts playing these programs automatically that bring her into a future timeline of, is this my partner? Is this the person, right? Starts fantasizing about children and jobs and life and partnership and all this stuff, and brings them completely out of the present moment, takes them out of the awareness to actually discern, is this someone that I am vibrationally in alignment with? Why does that go on repeat? So we get to go boom, right deep into these collective programs, which is a lot of the play that I'm here to offer, to embody, right? A lot of people do their services on the emotional body. A lot of people do their services on the physical. A lot of people do their services on various different levels of healing and transmuting. And for me, the services that I'm here to play and to bring people into is on the mental plane, right? On these programs, the deep programs that have been keeping humanity in these Midas coils, in these biofeedback loops of perpetuating the same story over and over and over and over and over again, through reconnecting their circuitry, through activating their divine potential, through bringing in this divine androgyny that's happening now, right? So many of the children that are being born have this circuitry online, because there are so many of us that have gone through these template ceremonies to anchor this firmly into the grid, who have been doing this work and turning this grid point on so that the children can come in and they're not identifying with being a man or a woman. They're not identifying with skin color or ethnicity. They're the divine androgyny. They are simply being an embodiment of source consciousness, of the merging of form, matter, and spirit, source, God. I'm going to wrap this video up with gratitude, right? So this is likely also the 3-year anniversary of this YouTube page, and of sharing really just divine love. So I appreciate you all for witnessing, for holding space for the immense transformation that I have been blessed to walk through in these last 3 years. So blessed. You are all woven into me. I am you. You are I. There's only one of us here watching this. And I invite you into this space of eradicating these deep, deep embedded collective programs from your matrices, so that you may be the embodiment of divinity on this earth, because that is where we are moving. That is where we are here. That is why we are here. To evolve this human species into its divine template. To reset the frequencies of love and light on this planet. And it is an honor to hold this frequency and this code for humanity here and now that I share through this feed. Blessings, 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 love, 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 love. Gratitude, gratitude, gratitude. And so it is. Aloha.